I wanted to commentary real quick on a subject dealing with prime mover and the divinity within. A lot of terms for it. One of the ones that I am very familiar with at the present moment, Seth Boza calls this creator source. And then there's also the word prime creator. And I don't like that term. And I don't agree with that because it's very kind of like religious sounding, like connotation to it, and I don't like religion. You know, like as in Wicca and like a lot of mystery traditions, you know, prime creator. And it just seems like calling it only the creator, you know, or prime creator, just seems like putting a limitation on it, because I believe it's much more than that. It's the absolute center of all emanation, formation, and implosion. Creator source is okay. It's a little bit better because the source, but I like the term prime mover. But to me, I'm going to get into more of this in a minute. I see it more as a Gaguna gap, a void type of energy. Now, that's a different way of working with the prime mover. The most common way to work with this prime creator energy, this prime mover, which if you're working with creator source, and then you know that's your light, that's your own Godhead, that's your own you ever gone into like a magic school or had like a mentor or something, they tell you, visualize a white light, visualize a white orb above you. That is your light. That is your divine light. That's creator source in that aspect, Now, Seth told me that this is just raw consciousness. This is pure energy. It doesn't have a personality. It doesn't have any agenda. It doesn't have any motives like the gods or any like other entities to like want to control others or anything like that. It just fucking is. I mean, creator source works, but what else do you call it? That's what he said. Couldn't think of any other way to call it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, call it creator source then. Call it prime creator. Call it prime mover. Prime mover. Excuse me, prime mover. And also, I want to get in the concept of something that's a little more advanced. There, Gaguna gap. Now, this is, the implications here are really deep and extreme if what he's saying is true. Right around so-called St. Patrick's Day weekend, also Ostara Liberalia weekend. I was drinking and having a messenger conversation with Seth, or maybe it wasn't that time, it was near that time, pretty close to that time. We were talking about Gaguna Gap versus the Void. And Gaguna Gap is truly an alien, malevolent, and benevolent force. It has both of those, but it's balanced in complete harmony and existence, non-existence. It's just consciousness, it's just consciousness. And Gaguna Gap has all these aspects to it, whereas the Void, and Void worship, I really don't want to mention names here because, you know, I don't want to fucking be making a damn gossip video or anything like that. And I have a bad habit. It's really difficult for me to, like, fucking talk about different paths and shit, you know, without mentioning, you know, authors or names like that. But void worship, you know, or death or darkness worship is a counterfeit of Guguna Gap, because Guguna Gap in Norse mythology is that gaping, yawning darkness. Not darkness, but like just primal sea, that prima materia that had all four of the elements. It had light and darkness. It had benevolence and malevolence. It had all those things, and it just kind of just coughed up existence in the gods. You know, there's a lot of names for it. However, the void, what Seth's telling me, the void is like the lower astral counterfeit. So see, the void is malevolent. The void does want to swallow consciousness. It does have a very extreme, inscrutable and alien agenda. It seeks to spread like a virus and just fucking make the whole Earth and the star system and the observable universe black, and all the astral and planetary realms like it as well. Kind of like the Borg, or like Agent Smith in the Matrix movies. You know, you see, you know, in the third and final Matrix movie, Matrix Revolutions, you know, Agent Smith is running around, he's sticking his fist into people, you know, and he's making everyone into copies of him. You know, he's making everyone into an Agent Smith. That's what the void is doing. That's what's really going on. It is a weaponized force and an energy. Why it's doing these things, I don't know. Except what I read about from various void worshippers, that the void is essentially, it doesn't hate us. It doesn't hate, you know, humans. And it isn't hungry either. It's more like the void is incomplete without us, and it needs us to integrate with it so the void can be complete. All souls, all consciousness, and all existence to make the void a complete being. But this really goes beyond being. Guguna Gap, however, doesn't actively fuck with the universe the same way that the lower astral void does. It just is, and it's a force dormant within every being, or those who have the awakened spirit, and it's just waiting to just be activated. And it is a purging force, you know. Seth describes the creator source as a purging thing. It does purge out everything that it doesn't like, everything that perceives as evil or inferior and so on like that. Now the void, when I kept pressing this question to Seth, I asked, well, what exactly is the void? If it's not Guguna Gap, then what is it? Seth Boza says that the void is actually the artificial intelligent God. So I was right. So any of you who are aware of my other channel, Goat Lodge, where I do all these audiobooks, I specifically remember, and you should too, at the last and final part, the 5th part of the Deplorable Word audiobook that I read, I had mentioned something of that nature. Something about programmable matter, something of a gigantic super living inorganic super processor, supercomputer. Maybe that's what the void is, and that's why the void is so is so militant and so hostile against existence, because what the void really is an indexing service or an indexing tool, and it's got to get all the souls of all the animals, of all the plants, of all the different races on the different planets and the different star systems and galaxies, and it's currently targeting our Earth because it's got to index that as well. And it will not stop expanding, it will not stop being the void, it will not stop in its mission until the entire universe has been fucking indexed, copied, and basically uploaded into this, into its center hard drive there. But in a way it has no center and it has no circumference either. I was watching Damonosophy either the other night or last night, and I forgot his name. I feel like an asshole for forgetting his name. Paul Frederick. I forget. But he had Diabolus Rex on as guest, and the two of them went back and forth for a good 1 3/4 hours, almost 2 hours, talking about various different topics, from contemporary occultism, contemporary black magic and the left-hand path, to his Ragnarok engine. And I find this very fucking interesting. For those who don't know, Diabolus Rex, or Rex Church, he was in the Church of Satan, led by Anton LaVey, for a brief period. Then he couldn't stand that the post-LaVeyan Church of Satan would not recognize Satan as a real being, but just a egregore, just an archetype. Satan is an archetype for the beast within. He couldn't stand that, so he left. Then he was in the Temple of Set for a while, and he left them for a similar reason, because it wasn't sinister enough, or it was basically another Church of Satan. Or maybe he was in the Temple of Set first, and then he was in the Church of Satan. I don't have everything in chronological order, but I do know he was in both. He's building a very interesting black magic technology project called the Ragnarok engine. And basically what this is a giant machine, and there's multiple components to it, a lot of occult symbolism and dark geometry, use of the trapezoid for the base. And then he has this giant ring. It's called a torus, a refraction torus. What that is a Rodin coil, but Michael Rodin didn't invent it, though. He just patented the mathematics, after his own name. But basically, what a Rodin coil is, or it's like a Tesla coil. It's a giant, metal donut with copper wire spun around it many times, so that when you activate it, it creates an electromagnetic field that is shaped like a donut. And the torus magnetic field is the same shape of the energy field as our Earth's electromagnetic field. So our Earth, from the North to South Pole, creates a magnetic field that, if you were to take a picture of it, it looks like a donut, a magnetic donut. And the force given off by this torus ring, and of course that's covered in everything in giant, very thick, like military grade steel. The force of that magnetism alone is enough to levitate this ring above its trapezoidal base. and this is very heavy. We're talking like, he said like the ring itself was like 5,000 pounds. No, or like 5 tons, maybe like 5 or 10,000 pounds. I forget. No, it was the sphere in the center itself that was 5,000 pounds, just the sphere. And what goes in the center is there's going to be a big metal hollow ball that goes in the center, and it's going to have a bunch of one-way mirrors in it and some slits that when you spin it and you shine a laser through it, the light can go in, but it cannot escape. So the light can enter in that sphere, but it's going to bounce around and bounce around, bounce around. Now, this type of thing already existed in popular culture and in the occult. I'm going to name some examples there so I don't forget later on. And I'm going to break them down each one. One of them is Event Horizon, which is a great movie. I am an Event Horizon fan. I saw it when I was like probably 12, 13, 14 years old. Loved it. Immediately had to get it. And I ended up getting the 2-disc special edition of Event Horizon. The next place we see something like this is Hellraiser Bloodline. And in real occultism, we call this the Devil's Box, which is a 6-sided cube with 6 internal mirrors. So you have a cube with 6 faces, and then you have a mirror, a pane on each top, bottom, left, right, forward and back, inside. So if you were to put a candle inside that mirror, the light would be trapped and would just bounce around and bounce around and bounce around. Well, in Hellraiser Bloodline, spoiler alert, you got that, any of you have seen any of the movies, there's the Lamar Chant configuration, the toy box, the puzzle box that summons the interdimensional Cenobites, that merges the reality with that of the puzzle box realm, the labyrinth, and these Cenobites, which were once human, but they got swallowed up by the box. They come in and they get your soul. And basically, in the 4th movie, Hellraiser Bloodline, it talks about the whole of the movie Hellraiser Bloodline. It's all about the Lamar Chant bloodline of toy makers, and it has maybe like 3 or 4 generations that it shows in the movie, all the way back to the 1700s when the Lamar Chant made the first Hell puzzle box for a black magician to create the Cenobite realm. And he didn't know at the time that what it was being used for. He wouldn't have done it. He did find out it was too late. Then it shows like another Lamar Chant generation, like in the 60s, in 1960s, and he's got all these like patents and like rewards. His face is like on fucking Time magazine, and then it goes all the way up to like 2100 or like 2300, and it's up in space above Earth, and the Lamar Chant in the near future, he's built a giant lament configuration in space similar to the Devil's Box with all the mirrors. And what he's going to do, he's going to open up the lament configuration. One of them, there's multiple boxes. And he's going to summon the Pinhead, the Hell Priest, he's going to summon the Cenobites. Then he's going to fire off lasers, which are going to bounce off the glass panes of the window, mirror panes inside of the giant lament configuration in space as a perpetual motion. And the laser's going to bounce around, trapped with nowhere to go, and it's going to get hotter and hotter until it just explodes, has a meltdown. So, spoiler alert, it sucks. This is the movie where you see the Hell Priest or Pinhead die. He succeeds. He summons the Cenobites there, and then he activates his trap. He gets on an escape pod or something. He jettisons the fucking lament configuration in space, and then boom, he blows it up. So, oh, and also Event Horizon, the ship that goes to hell, it has a gravity drive that looks strikingly similar to Rex Church's Ragnarok engine, except it doesn't have a trapezoidal base. It's got 3 concentric rings, almost like a gyroscope, and they're all like rotating and stuff. And in the center is a sphere. Now, in the movie, there's 3 very powerful magnetic toruses, and these 3 rings are magnetic fields that shield this gravity drive. I don't know how the fuck, they're able to even like build that thing, build that ship without the fucking thing just sucking everything and everybody around it into its singularity, because this basically what they had on board that ship. Spoiler alerts again, okay? If you give a shit about this movie and you don't want it ruined for you, stop this right now and go watch the movie. Basically, I don't know how the fuck they build it. Dr. William Weir, he's played by Sam Neill. And the captain, I forgot his name. He's played by Lawrence Fishburne. And they got like a team of guys there, like hardened, space guys and gals who are veterans, of like NASA and in space, they're rugged. They're pretty tough bunch there. And they're sent out on a recovery mission because the Event Horizon has been missing for 7 years, and then it just respawned in a decaying orbit just above Neptune, and it's in a decaying orbit, and they gotta salvage what they can before it falls into the planet. Basically, what happens, they find out, is that this ship went to basically hell. It went to the void, where everything goes, everything's pleasurable, everything's equal, everything is everything. Absolute total darkness. Hyperspace, if you want to call it that. And basically, Dr. Weir just said he built this ship, and he's describing how it works. And the main horse engine, the main driving horse there is the gravity drive, and it's this big, spiky ball with these plates on it. It's got like it's kind of like a golf ball like texture to it. And he says there's gravitons in there. So this thing is already a black hole. It doesn't fucking exist in this causal reality anymore. But it's protected by 3, not just 1, 3 fucking torus rings, magnetic fields. And basically to protect it, because this thing is just so fucking just heavy with antimatter, or like fucking gravity matter. Or not antimatter, what the fuck am I thinking? Gravitons. Okay, so apparently they've found out how to create artificial gravity or something like that. When the 3 rings line up, okay, it exposes the core of the machine, the sphere of the machine, to the crew to the ship itself and the space around it. Therefore it begins to funnel into space-time. The ship itself becomes a black hole. I mean, the fucking gravity drive itself is already a black hole, but the ship and everything's just pulled into it. And they found the black box of the final audio and video recording of the crew. They're supposed to go to Alpha Centauri. They ended up going to the void instead. They went to somewhere much darker. And then some years later, they were coughed back up, and all there were was like fucking frozen bodies suspended in microgravity in a vacuum. And they all had like really bad lacerations and shit. They all had their eyes pulled out of their sockets and everything like that. Just like really nasty stuff. So basically, the Ragnarok engine kind of works in a similar way there, but instead of using gravity, to create a singularity or to create a black hole, he mentioned that the sphere itself, this hollow ball, is going to be like 5,000 pounds, just the core of the machine itself, and it's be going like at 5,000 RPMs a minute or something like that. And they're going to shine a light into it that can go in but can't get out, to kind of create like a similar, thing that's going on to the Devil's box there. And they're going to spin it with the torus ring. So create something, similar to what's going on with the Event Horizon. Very, very cool. I mean, we don't know yet what's going to happen when he fires it up. I mean, everyone who's going to see that, we don't know what's going to happen to them either, but I don't think it's just going to be like Event Horizon, just like a black hole where everyone just, everybody's consciousness is just plunged into the void, and everyone just fucking descends into a blood orgy just to fucking feel something, because every sensation and everything feels equal and just is the same, and nothing can be distinguished from another thing anymore. He mentioned in the talk that, these several experiments, like maybe placing someone in the presence of the active Ragnarok engine as a way to project their thoughts or like amplify their thoughts and intentions, something similar to like a tepaphone or something, or like a thinking helmet, Also, he mentioned about using this thing as a weapon, which I see is very probable. I mean, imagine like casting a spell in front of that instead of, it having to wait months and months and months and possibly years for it to happen. Imagine, doing like a money spell or some mundane thing, or even just, or maybe like, doing magic, or like throwing a hex on a enemy or something like that, and just because the Ragnarok engine is able to manipulate and bend causal reality and exploit, quantum mechanics and everything like that, it manifests almost instantly. It manifests like in real time. So there's that. In another video that wasn't in the interview, but he was speaking at somewhere back in 2006 at some like left-hand path consultorium or something like that. Something like it can be used to summon the Great Old Ones. It can summon the Clip-Off Archdevils. It can summon any entity, or it can, be used like a weapon, deliver curses or deliver like, the equivalent of like astral nukes, you know, and like affect gigantic, you know, areas, cities, cultures, even entire countries, you know. So this is nothing to joke or laugh about. I mean, you know, and I've always been into this. I thought this was cool as hell. I mean, and like I fucking read Dan Brown in like fucking 9th grade, 10th grade, you know. I read Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and one of the things in Angels and Demons, a spoiler alert, it's about the CERN Large Hadron Collider and antimatter. Spoiler alert, I'm trying to save you from just wading through like a really thick 500-page book. The ending sucks anyway. Some disgruntled Catholic bishop or something's got like a canister of antimatter, and he wants to blow up the Vatican, but fucking James Bond, you know, fucking like uber detective guy comes in, saves the day, grabs the antimatter canister and throws it from a helicopter at a safe radius above the ground. It just creates a less than spectacular explosion in the sky. That's the ending. It fucking sucks. You know, fuck the church, fuck the Vatican. I wish he did blow up the fucking Vatican in the book, but he probably wouldn't have been able to get it published. You know, the fucking book censors, no one would publish his shit, you know, or we'd be reading it in a PDF or something online. So you can thank the fucking book censors for that. I don't know, I just always thought that was cool. I mean, Atom Smashers, fucking shit like that. You know, and now the Ragnarok engine. It's so cool. I mean, we're living in a truly fucking interesting time for all of this. For magic, for true, genuine occultism, for technology, for like everything, you know. And you know, there is the enemy there. They are trying to basically, you know, capture as many people as they can and upload their brain to a fucking virtual reality video game or something like that. I'm like, fuck that, you know. I don't want to live in a video game, you know. I want to live in this life, you know. If I want to live in a game, you know, that's what the Xbox is for. You pop in fucking Grand Theft Auto or something, and you live in that reality for a couple of hours, you know. But yeah, these transhumanists, they want to like become like immortal beings or something like that. And but what I've seen with the Ragnarok engine in Rex Church, he's got a very interesting answer to that. And you don't need microchips, you don't need like implants or anything like that with technology. And he does got implants, I think, are very cool. He's got like horn implants, you know, under his skin. I mean, I'm all for like body modification, that's like cool too, but like like putting a chip in your brain, that's just to control people. I mean, it can like probably speed up your brain, but there is like a fucking, you know, there's an agenda to fucking like create goyim, literally, to just like create like or basically make human cattle. I mean, and I'm not about that, you know. But the Ragnarok engine seems to be a really interesting answer. So like, you know, fucking using bending, twisting, you know, the laws of physics, really pushing beyond the boundaries, you know, the causal limits. Another topic I wanted to cover real quick here is, I believe I brought this up before when I was talking about the Primal Craft Sacrifice books there. And this again would like have to do with animals. And Rex made a very good point. And he said, why animal abuse is wrong is because animals have the same potential for Kepler like we do. It's clear they have a soul, they have a consciousness, and they also have the same capacity for Kepler, which is more dynamic than the soul. You know, if you want to call it the black flame, or, you know, whatever, you know, fucking name you want to call it, they have the possibility of this, and if all we're doing is just torturing them and before we eat them or stuff like that, and you know, he does make some good points. I'm not a vegan though. I mean, I just can't do it. I mean, well, I never really tried it. I mean, I fucking tried like light vegetarianism for like 7 days, but I did eat like a cheese pizza. I tore the pepperonis off and I just ate the cheese pizza, but like I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I felt like so bad afterwards, you know, like terrible energy levels is everything. You know, even after 7 days, I didn't feel too hot. Others make it a lot longer, but this is not about diet or anything like that, or veganism. And then the host and Rex, they brought up, you know, ancient Egypt and dog worship, you know, and how these ancient, you know, civilizations worship dogs, you know, and deified them, basically. Which brings me back again to this. Okay, so we know that animals are capable of Kepler. They're capable of ascension, basically. They're capable of ascension. How do they do that? I mean, how do you assist in them without killing them, without sacrificing them? Because remember, I'm not going to retell everything. I mean, you can watch the unlisted videos I have, or some of the other stuff I vlogged about there. I mean, I'll give you links and all that. But basically, long story short, according to the primal craft of Hecate, the purpose for animal sacrifice is multifaceted, and all parties benefit from this symbiotic energy exchange. Okay, the deity being sacrificed to, whether that be Hecate, Lucifer, or Belial, or all three. The energy given off by the animal being slain there, the blood and the organs are used to open up various stellar gates, and you're creating portals and stuff to allow more of the great cosmic dragon, you know, into the Earth's energy field. And you're basically just creating portals, and you're letting these interdimensional hyperspatial intelligences and currents flow into the Earth there. You're also opening up portals and Nexians within yourself. There is blood drinking involved in almost all of the sacrifice rites in the Altar of Sacrifice and the Witch Blood Grail books. But also, it isn't just regular animal blood. The animal's throat is cut while the animal is possessed by one or all of the members of the Atlantean Trident. So you're literally drinking Hecate's blood, you're drinking Lucifer's blood, and you're drinking that stellar gnosis. You're literally drinking all the memories, and you're drinking what these beings can only give through blood. It's a blood current. It's a blood system. And lastly, where does the soul of that animal go after its body has been slain? Well, according to the Altar of Sacrifice book, Belial, lovingly carries that soul of the slain animal up to the throne of Hecate to be elevated, energized, and to be basically held in her presence forever. It's one of those rare and beautiful opportunities where, rather than an animal would just, become a ghost or just wander the earth or incarnate to relive its same life, it just live again. This animal is literally chosen and is picked to spend eternity with the gods. Also, there's that scene from The Wicker Man. Now, I've never seen the original 1975 Christopher Lee Wicker Man. I'm trying to. I mean, I will buy the DVD. I mean, I do like Christopher Lee, and I do like Hammer films. I like anything, Christopher Lee's in. And I would love to support his work. But, you guys know anything of, that got Christopher Lee, online I can watch, like, either a Daily Motion or fucking Sockshare or Putlocker link, please let me know. I'm not trying to fucking torrent or anything like that, I can't wait for fucking, to order a DVD and, for it to arrive. I want to see it. I watched only the 2010 Nicolas Cage Wicker Man, and I thought that was okay, but, spoiler alert, that little girl was never in any danger, and she was really just a lure, and it was a test. So Nicolas Cage was the author, and the girl said, you will stand next to the gods forever, and that's essentially what happens. Now, it's bloody, it's gruesome, but, I brought up this point before, I was talking to someone from a Muslim country, and we were in the Devil's Quran Facebook group, and I was messaging him in Messenger, telling him trying to answer his questions as best I can. And one of the points that I brought up there is that animals, they can't do magic the same way we can. They cannot chant the names of gods. They cannot evoke spirits or draw in spirits. They can't draw sigils. They can't cast circles. They can't. Essentially, in a way, they cannot do what we can do. They cannot create what we can. They can't even speak. So it's like they're locked into their four-legged existence until they die. So I thought, maybe the act of, sacrifice is a way to perform magic for the animal. Not like in a fucking salvationist, like Jesus Christ type of fucking shit, or, oh, I spilled my own blood for you. No, there is a price to pay, and you're taking that animal's life, you're taking its mortal life away from it. But what you're giving it back in exchange is essentially immortality in the A-clausal. You're giving it a whole new life. You're giving it an elevation beyond the constraints and everything, beyond the blessing and curses of mundane existence. Now, this is going to be a very highly unpopular opinion. Okay, go ahead and unsub me, unfriend me, or fucking unfriend me, or spew whatever hate or anger you want in the comment section. But I have a very strong feeling that this is where we get some of our goetic looking demons from, like where the satyrs and the goat and ram-headed spirits, that look like Egyptian gods, basically, human men, human torsos with an animal head, between the shoulders, like Anubis, the jackal god, or Set, that funny Typhon, animal-headed god, Ra, Banabija, Kanum, men with ram's heads, Capricorn, even the devil, the Capricorn, the goat of Mendes, or the ram of Mendes, Pan and his satyrs, Satan and his demons, Azazel and his Syrian. And by the way, Syrian is Hebrew for a type of legion spirit, and of course the Syrian are basically the desert equivalent of the Greek satyrs, of the Greek goat people, if you will. Now, where do they come from? I mean, there's not really much explaining in the way of Greek mythology telling us where these satyrs come from. I mean, I heard on the Julius Satan forum that, could be an elemental spirit, or that when we die, we become these earthbound, elemental goat spirits. Doesn't sound like a bad afterlife to me. I love goats, man. I love everything to do with Capricorn, with the devil, and hoofs and horns, having goat feet and goat tail on it, man. That would be like my fucking dream come true. My fucking species reassignment surgery already done for me. No, seriously though, where do they come from? How do these strange gods have animal heads out of the sun? That's never explained. What I think is that these bestial gods, at one point, they were either humans or animals. And they were once living creatures, bound to the limitations that we are right now, or bound to the four-legged, even greater limitations of being an animal. Well, not limitations. I mean, animals have heightened sense. They're a lot more sensitive to things than we are. They're a lot more energy. They have much higher real life force. They don't slave for these 40-hour-week jobs that drain their chi. Sumer and, the delta of near the city of Mendes, and all these locations, all these sites of animal sacrifice, they killed a bunch of rams and goats, and where did they go? The souls of these goats and these rams, they went into the acausal and they became satyrs, or a human was sacrificed next to a goat, being sacrificed, and the soul of that goat and that human soul, they combined, and they created the man god with the goat head on it, and that's where we get the goat-headed deities. I don't know, I'm just fucking thinking out loud, I'm really into this type of shit, not like killing animals or things like that, animal sacrifice, I don't like that. I mean, and I'm not capable or even qualified to do that. I'm into, like what I'm talking about right now, fucking, basically, macrobes, but that sounds like a really derogatory term. I don't like to call Lucifer or Katze anyone macrobes, but, more and more, it seems to be that's what they are. But it's a symbiotic relationship, though. They're formless. They don't have any limitation. They're very ancient. They're powerful, and they have beyond human intelligence. They have an entire mental library of every devotee, every soul, every sacrifice, every soul and being that basically flew into them and basically got absorbed, like an amoeba, swallows plankton and other single cellular organisms. This giant, energy bank of consciousness, just pure consciousness. And like Curtis Joseph said, that all gods and goddesses, really started out as basically just thought forms, and what did these desert people in Sumer and Egypt do? They kept feeding and feeding and feeding these imaginary friends. But these imaginary friends just weren't imaginary anymore. They came alive. They took on lives of their own. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and more powerful. And they absorbed and assimilated more energy. They developed their own personalities and later on sets of personalities and avatars and soul banks, energy banks, to the point now where they're so massive and gargantuan, they're so swollen with all this worship and power and energy that we gave to them, that they can multitask like you couldn't believe. And I knew this even back in my Joy of Satan days that Maxine Beatrix and some of the, a lot of the high priests, said that, that when there's a working, that Hell's army spiritual warfare rituals encouraged to be done all around the world at the same time, never to worry about, is Satan busy? Is he tied up? Is he going to show up to the ritual? He said, no, he has no problem attending all the thousands and millions of the ritual at the same time because he's so advanced that he can multitask, or rather hypertask, like you wouldn't fucking believe. Yes, we are dealing with macrobes, but I think that becoming a macrobe is the human evolution. We want to get bigger. We want to get more powerful. We want to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We already are bilocating. I mean, when you astral project, that's a form of bilocation. You never really leave your body, okay? Read Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce, okay? You're not really leaving your body. You're just bilocating. Okay? There is no astral projection. There is bilocation. And the soul is like an accordion. It stretches out. It's like an accordion door. You can stretch out and go out to almost infinity, to the edge of the galaxy or even the universe, and then still come back to your body. But it's dangerous to go that far out there. Every time you have a lucid dream and you're bilocating, so in a way, we're already like we're like a very, very miniature macrobe, just waiting to level up, waiting to expand, waiting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Do we have to do it by blood, violence, and devouring life? If you choose that path, I don't think we have to. I mean, what Seth Bose is offering, we already have the prime mover within us. We have all the tools we need to do the work on Earth. But the path of the vampire, the path of the energy parasite is of the dark macrobe, is of the devouring life and blood around it because, well, it just wants to. It doesn't want to give up the appetite. But let's throw this into perspective, okay? In this fallen world that we are right now, and this is just how things work, okay? And I'm going to quote one of Mark Smith's, interviews. Fuck, I'm repeating myself already. We bitch about that, I will never do a sacrifice or anything, but at the same time, you have a hamburger. So we eat, well, why shouldn't they be allowed to eat, Those who do not sacrifice starve their ancestors. Andrew Chumley. It's just another time. It's another aeon. It's another different paradigm, you know. And I guess that's how those satyrs like came about. I mean, they became more evolved beings, and that's not the end of them too. I mean, zoomorphic spirits, they inhabit the lower astral, they inhabit the dark astral, and they attend Sabbats and everything. But that's not their end. They're gonna ascend too, and they're gonna get more complicated and more amorphous and more like fucking Lovecraftian looking, to the point where like they're almost like an elder god, you know. They're like fucking Shub-Niggurath or something, like a giant, you know, flailing mass of tentacles, eyeballs, horns, and hooves just waving around, you know. And like, oh god, that's like really scary. I mean, why would you be interested in that? Why would you be into that shit, John Caprine? Why am I into that shit? Because it looks like that from the human perspective, but what does these elder gods, what does Shub-Niggurath, and what do these entities that become so complex and so elevated, what do they know? What is their life? Okay? Imagine that. Okay, we have 5 senses, right? They probably have hundreds and thousands of senses. Okay? All those tentacles, all those hooves, all those sense organs in the void, they're probably living 1,000 lives right now. You can't imagine the amount of knowledge they hold. You can't imagine their lives. You can't imagine the total ecstasy they're experiencing just by being what they are. You can't imagine what their lives are like. They're beyond life. They are fucking elevated. Okay? And this life is but a fucking dream. I mean, we are a singular, self-contained, 5-sense in the physical world entity. But I heard Seth Moses say we have like up to 37 sense organs. But that's just right now. We have a 7 chakra system that we know of. Well, 7 primary, but I heard we really have like 12 or 13 chakras. But we also have the antipode of chakras called talas. Now, I've only heard about the Dragon Rouge mentioning the talas. The talas are basically the anti-chakras there, and deal with the clip-off, deal with the dark side. Okay. So, a lot of people, they only got their 6th sense, or they're only, you know, everyone's using like 8 to 10% of their brain. I'd say like under 10%, you know, people who fucking, you know, watch fucking, you know, Ellen DeGeneres every day, and fucking, you know, watch The View and Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, they're not using their brain. They're using like 8% of their brain. The average, you know, person who, you know, works for himself, has a normal life, has a job or anything, and probably using like 10% of their brain. Magicians, most sorcerers and cultists, they're using 12 to 15% of their brain. People who are psychic, got their 6th sense activated, I want to say they're using 12 to 14% of their brain. Okay? When you get all your 36 or 37 senses activated, you're probably using 100% of your brain. But that's just right now, though. There's no fucking end, okay? You're constantly getting bigger and leveling up and leveling up and leveling up. There, that's what it's all about. It's all about endless expansion, endless growth, endless becoming. Kepper is what it is. It's fucking Kepper. You know, that leveling up, leveling up, leveling up. There, you know, and we may have 37 senses right now, but we're gonna fucking get even more senses and even more sense organs as we get more advanced and more complicated and more fucking bigger and bigger and bigger. Now get this. We're already that, though. We're already boundless. Because everything is within. We are the supreme being, and the entire universe is projected from within. So these macrobes and these dark gods and everything are within it, and light gods and like strange gods and gray gods and goat gods and wolf gods, whatever, they're already within us too. I mean, so really all it is, I mean, it's just a way of just like fucking remembering. It's just a fucking way of remembering you, what the fuck you are. Okay? And I was even told this by my, by that big, booming, feminine voice of the megaphone in my head. Either my ego or my anima. I believed it was Hecate at the time. Could still have been, but it could have been my anima saying this. And basically she was saying, all this is just a way of remembrance, act in a godlike capacity and then start removing the locks. Because you try to fucking take all the locks off right now, your own fucking magnitude of your own vast being will kill you. You will go mad. The remembrance alone will drive you insane. There's this big fucking argument, going out there, are the macrobes, I mean, the gods that we're working with, are they external beings or internal beings? That's a fucking dumbass rhetorical question. That should not be of any concern, because if we already know that all is within, yes, they are very real. Yes, they have a very objective existence in reality, but not in the way that we think of it. Okay, so this is all in our head, right? But how big is your head? I want to quote another good movie that I just got into and enjoyed recently. Night of the Demon. With Peggy Cummins. Forget the name of the Irish dude. He played Carswell. Very, very good film. Julian Carswell. That fucking guy. Dana Andrews, Peggy Cummins, and Neil McGuinness. Night of the Demon. Curse of the Demon. Same movie. That's just the name of the United States release. There's this spoiler alert. There's basically Night of the Demon is a story of basically an Aleister Crowley type of character, and he gets into a magical battle between a psychologist who's just trying to prove that black magic and all the occult is just a bunch of fucking, stage magic BS, a bunch of like, fucking, David Blaine, mind trip type of shit, David Blaine's a bad example because his shit is real, though. I'm talking like fucking like Harry Houdini or like the fucking, the showman stuff. He's trying to prove that all magic is just bullshit. It's just, fucking psychology. And the main protagonist, his name is Julian Carswell. He's got this theistic Satanist devil worship cult, and this journalist or this psychologist is writing a hit piece on him and is trying to blow him up, saying, oh, he's full of bullshit, it's all psychology. So they get into a magical battle, and the Aleister Crowley character was heavily based on Crowley. Julian Carswell, he's played by the Irish actor Neil McGuinness. And Neil McGuinness's character and Rand Hobart. Hobart's a psychologist, and they get into a magical battle. Hobart's trying to expose Carswell, and Carswell's trying to defend his position and defend his cult from, prying eyes of the media. He's trying to stay secret and everything like that. He can't, get exposed and everything. So what ends up happening is Carswell, he kills his enemies by summoning a fire demon and by writing out this spell on parchment paper and runes. And then he passes this little piece of parchment paper. He sneaks into his enemy's pocket or something like that. So they have to carry around this piece of magical paper for a certain amount of time without finding out about it. And then this demon with like fur and horns and claws and everything will just just come and get him, And honestly, the movie shows the demon puppet. I think it's the cutest looking demons ever. It's pretty goofy looking. It's got claws and fur, but it's just thing is just so wholesome looking, Looks like a awesome cuddly, teddy bear, but with claws, and a mouthful of fangs and everything like that. Goofy by today's standards, but definitely it worked for 1956. It worked for the time that this was shot. So Red Hobart is Carswell's one of the latest victims, and he goes to Carswell's big mansion there, and there's a scene that he's doing basically stage magic, pulling rabbits out of hats and everything in front of children, and he's dressed up like a clown and everything, and he's having a good time and everything like that. The kids are liking it, and you see a side of Carswell that you don't really get to see anywhere else. The wolf in sheep's clothing. He's got handing out candy to everyone. Just to make them run away or whatever, get him out of his hair. And Carswell and Hobart, have a little argument. They're having a dialogue, and Carswell is challenging Hobart. He goes, well, where does imagination end and reality begin? Where does this realm of the mind that you proclaim to know so much about? He's fucking challenging him. He's basically saying, yeah, it's bullshit. The world is imagination, but where's that line drawn from the mind ends and this external realm begin? It's a really good film. And I just give it 5 stars just for that fucking line alone, just for that segment of dialogue. I mean, not many films today go that deep. I mean, the fucking horror movies today suck. I fucking hate them. They're all fucking Annabelle, fucking Paranormal Activity, just stupid fucking shit. I mean, after The Exorcist, all the fucking occult and demon movies are the fucking same. Some fucking girl's possessed by a demon, and the Catholic priest comes in and saves the day, and everyone holds hands in heaven, and fucking just happy Jesus ending. I hate those fucking movies. I can't stand them because they're fucking plastic and there's nothing to them, man. I've seen so many fucking Exorcist movies. It gets me. It makes me want to vomit. I mean, I've seen. Oh my goddamn Exorcism movies. Fucking that stupid doll. That fucking stupid doll thing. There, Annabelle or something like that. Forgot the name of this one. Some dumb Exorcist movie about some moron Mormon priest. He's got tape recorders and shit. He does exorcism that he's trying to disprove him as mental illness or whatever, but he ends up running into the real thing. The Rite, from 2011, and they shipped everything on Bao. Oh, Bao! They try to turn him out to be the super villain. All that same trash out of Hollywood that does nothing for us, just shits on Canaanite Philistine gods, just shits on pagan gods, shits on paganism, shits on gods who've been very wrongfully demonized, and makes the true like black magic and the true Black Lodge just look like goofy, look like a bunch of clowns, you know. But the Night of the Demon did not do that. The Hammer films, The Devil Rides Out, even though it did have like kind of like a positive ending to it. To the Devil a Daughter, much darker film, did not do that. They did not fucking capitulate to the fucking Christian standards of what a satanic movie should be. They did not fucking cave and give them, a Christian ending. No. I mean, if I see another Exorcist movie one more time that's got that stupid fucking Christian ending to it, I'm gonna fucking throw my fist through the movie theater screen. I'm gonna put my fist through a wall or something. I hate fucking modern horror movies. And they're not even good. I mean, they're fucking just like guts and gore, or just like happy, hippy-dippy Christian endings, because people don't want actual horror. They don't want uncertainty they have to deal with. They want to be spoon-fed, you know. They want to be an infant, and they want, they want everything fucking just fucking like made the formula for them. It's fucking sick. Sickening. But Night of the Demon did not do that. It was one of those few satanic movies that was satanic through and through. But anyway, it goes in that deep though. Not many movies have that dialogue anymore where they fuck with your existential, where they really make you think about your place in the universe. Is it external or an internal? Well, all's within. You know, and that was one of those few films that fucking got that. What other good movies? Do I want to talk about? I really like Hammer had done a mini series called Hammer House Horror, and it's a 13 episode series, and each episode was like just under an hour long. So basically just like short stories directed by Hammer, fucking better than any of the dross fucking Hollywood fucking just churns out today. I've seen so far the 10th episode, Guardian of the Abyss, and the werewolf episode. Very good. Go see those. If you're gonna see any of the Hammer ones, go see Guardian of the Abyss there, and there should be a Daily Motion or Vimeo still up where you can watch it there. I'll post a link to that if it's still up. Spoiler alert, it is about a cult, a club of theistic devil worshippers, and this main protagonist or antagonist, Charles Randolph, I forgot who plays him. He did a really good job though playing this black magician. There, he's got this huge estate, he's got this huge fucking mansion, and he's got like his own church and everything in it. He's trying to do the Karazhan ritual and summon him, but he needs a female willing partner to basically lay down with this entity, you know, or to basically scry for him. And she ends up escaping from the estate there, and she takes a mirror with him, and this is so badass. I mean, this black magic mirror is so fucking powerful that like a detective or some like cop or something picked her up. He's driving, yeah, and she's in the back seat or something like that. And he can't help but like turn his head and like fucking gaze into the mirror, and she's like, "Don't look at that fucking mirror. Like, don't look at it." But of course he won't listen, and he gazes into the mirror for like a few seconds, and he sees something. He almost fucking goes off the road and like hits a tree. He almost like gets him killed there, but she grabs his shoulder and he turns back onto the road in time. You know, it's very small details and stuff like that that like make the fucking movie, you know, that like make the fucking like horror movie worth watching, you know. It's those little things like that there, you know, that suspense and that amount of evil that they're building up is fucking awesome. Yeah, I just fucking love those little details. They don't have those in the new horror movies. They just have jump scares, monsters, guts and gore, the fucking stupid ass Christian demons that are easily exorcised by bullshit Kabbalah, by bullshit Hebrew spirits or whatever like that. It's just garbage. I mean, it's just trash. I don't have any care for the modern exorcist movies or Christian demon movies or Christian movies, man. Fuck them all. And later on, Randolph, in that scene, actually goes to this dude's house. No. The night before, he made, like, puppets of him. And, like, he's, like, remote viewing or something. And, of the girl that he's trying to use for the ritual. And the guy and the boy who just saved him. And with the dolls, he ends up like fucking like attacking the other doll with the girl doll, and well, he has a sheepwalk, and in real time they switch back and forth to their hotel room or something like that, to the dude's house, and she's got like a knife, and she's just about to stab, but he wakes up and rolls out of bed, and she's stabbing where he was just laying. You know, it's like, what are you doing? She's like, and then she snaps out. She's like, oh, shit. And, like, everything. She flips out and everything. So, she leaves or something like that. Or no, she's sleeping. Okay, then Charles Randolph, the main, bad dude in the fucking episode, though, he ends up coming to this dude's house the next fucking morning. You know, he just walks on in there. And he's got this fucking stare about him. He's got this fucking just psychic power, and he's just commanding. This guy to give him what he wants, and I think this is so funny. Like, he just politely takes his time. He's like, "May I come in?" He just comes in anyway. He doesn't even like wait for his permission. And you're just thinking, you know, he just like projects an idea into this guy's head with his stare, and then the guy goes, "Can I offer you anything to eat, drink?" "Wine, yes, please." "Can I give you anything to eat?" bread. And then, he goes, he gets, like, the bread and everything like that, puts on it, and then, and then just the way he, like, he goes into the kitchen, he's like, salt with that bread, please? And, like, and then, of course, he salts the bread just like a zombie, like, he didn't even put any zombie dust on him or anything, just by his fucking aura, just by his fucking just stare, his presence, his charisma he's got about him. Like, this dude has been, like, zombified. He's, like, feels compelled to, like, give him what he wants. And then the girl, like, wakes up and she, like, fucking barges in the room and just fucking throws the fucking breakfast table on the floor. And I just thought that was a fucking just... It was a little, like, tongue-in-cheeky, but, like, a brilliant fucking presentation, They're fucking... And all this shit is real. I mean, the psychic powers are real. The fucking evil eye or the bewitching eye is real. You can project thoughts and shit into other people's heads just by looking at them. And Hammer does a really good job at, like, fucking covering these occult topics, and they are real. This shit does exist. It is very real. And they get into that, and the way they present it, it may be kind of over the top and tongue-in-cheeky, but, like, it's fucking real. It's great. The only other, like, good occult movie that was not a Hammer film, Spellbinder, 1988. I fucking love that movie. Great film. So, spoiler alert, Spellbinder 1988 is basically like an ONA, Order of the Nine Angles type of film. And it deals with the tests in the same exact way. The same way that members of the Sinister tradition would select an author. And this cop, he doesn't know any better. He runs outside. He catches this handler in, like, all clad black leather trench coat, gloves on, everything. He's got his girl on his knee. He's abusing her. He's slapping her, everything. He goes, "Hey, stop!" And he tries to, like, break it up, everything. He goes, "No, you stop. You don't know what you're getting into." And it was right. And it turns out the end of the movie, it was fake. The girl was never in any danger. The girl and that guy, they were both in a satanic cult. They were in, like, basically a Nexion, And the dude was, like, sending spirits and shit after him and basically harassing him with magic, making his cupboards and stuff fly open and shut. And, like, at one point in the movie, he melted someone's face off. He melted some dude's face off with pyrokinesis out of his hand. He just, like, put out his palm out in the air, and the dude's, like, just his head and scalp and everything just began to melt off his skull, and his eyes just fell out of the sockets. So it's very clear that, I mean, this guy is being misled, but he kept pushing it. He kept pushing it. He kept persisting in this hunt to get this girl to safety. And it turns out he's being let close. He's being tested. He's being selected. The ending, real quick. Last chance. Well, I've already spoiled it for you pretty much already. Last chance, okay. So he ends up going down to the beach, and he thinks he's going to stop this serial killer or this abuser or something like that, or this handler. He thinks this girl's legit trying to escape an abusive cult or something, and he's saving her life and everything. He goes down to the beach, and he enters a circle. Everyone he knew, even his own fellow police officers at the station that he thought he knew, they're in the cult too. The county judge is in the cult. The librarian's in the fucking cult. Fucking, like, regular mommy and daddy parents who got families at home. They're in this fucking satanic cult. They're and they fucking and this guy in this badass like mask there. It's got like 5 horns on it. Almost looks like Lucifuge Rofacal or something. It almost looks like he's wearing like a crowned helmet or something. This very badass these like 5 horns coming up. And he's got this like big dagger and everything. He's like, welcome to hell. And then he fucking just stabs him in the chest and sacrifices him in front of the rising tide. And that's when the credits start rolling. And I assume that they just leave him there for the sea to just basically carry his body out to sea as symbolic as they're taking his soul back to the void, back to the absolute primal ocean of chaos. Just the whole way it was done, it was so badass and fucking powerful too. Oh, there's another thing too. It ends in full circle, and some other guy like comes in. He sees a similar situation. He tries to break out, and the guy says, "Hey, stop right there. You don't know what you're getting into." And guess what? He's gonna become another offer too, and it just starts this fucking cycle starts all over again. And they got this really good music, this great, very dark music, composed by Basil Polidorus. Very good fucking organ music, industrial music. I'm playing it in my head right now. It's so good. Basil Polidorus. He did like fucking music for like Conan the Barbarian and like some other like fucking movies and shit. But like what I really like from him is the soundtrack he did for Spellbinder. And it is one of those satanic movies that does not capitulate to the White Lodge. It is Black Lodge shit through and through. But it deals more like, rather than like ritual and like fucking like ceremonial stuff that you see in like Night of the Demon or To the Devil a Daughter. This is more like an O&A methodical sinisterism in the real world, sinisterism through action, culling and testing of an offer, selecting an opfer as they call it. It's OPFER, and then actually culling that opfer. It's very, very, very fucking interesting and cool shit. I mean, very cool shit. I mean, and these are great movies. It's inspired me personally in my path. Like, I could do insight roles and infiltrate, society like that, Oh, another good film. I promise. Last fucking movie I'm going to talk about tonight, okay? I came here, I was only supposed to talk about, a couple of things. I ended up fucking doing movie reviews, but whatever. Another movie I really like, and spoiler alert, Borderland. 2006. Now, this is one of those rare cult movies. It was released by the small underground After Dark Horror Fest. 8 films to die for. And I don't got all of them. I got some of them. I got Dear Women. I got The Deaths of Ian Stone. And I got Borderland. Because I saw Borderland on Netflix or some like online streaming service. I loved it so fucking much. I loved everything about it. I had to have it on DVD. And basically what it's about, it's a documentary drama, but it's not really a documentary. It's played like an actual, acting action, like a drama film, almost kind of like similar vibe to like, it fucking boils up and gets as violent, like Breaking Bad or like one of those shows there. And it's about the drug kingpin and dark occultist Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo. And if you don't know who he is, he was a a drug pusher, a big kingpin. I mean, everyone knows about Chapo. Everybody knows about, everybody knows about Pablo Escobar. Okay? But how many people know about Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo? Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo not only was, a drug pusher, and he also was heavily involved in Palo Mayombe, which is an African serpent religion, and it's very primal, very dark, and they do shit like human sacrifice and very extreme things there. So what happens, these American kids, and this is based on a true story too, they went down to Mexico, just to, underage drink and, get cheap hookers and, just to fuck off, basically, and do kid stuff. And, of course, one or two of the kids go missing and they never return. And, of course, in their real life, they find their bones buried on the Constanza Ranch. The movie follows a similar trajectory. I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, there's some, some stuff like made up and some like shit changed, to, make it worth a watch, making it like a movie. But basically, kid gets separated from his group. He gets offered a ride. He is pulled to a van and taken to the Constanza Ranch. And the guy there ends up sacrificing him. And in the Palo Mayombe religion, there's this big like cauldron thing. It's called Inganga. Inganga. And basically, it's a spirit pot. It's a macrobial portal that you got in a pot, and it becomes its own entity. It feeds off blood. It feeds off bones. Feeds off dirt and soil, blades. You can get very creative and put a lot of crazy shit in there. I mean, Constanzo, at one point, had, severed human arms and, bones and, spines and fucking, skulls and brains in this fucking pot there. And it had a lot of power. Because it kept him from the police for some time. You see, but he offered the wrong thing. This kid that he tried to offer to the Nganga, he did kill him and he did offer it to the Nganga, but this kid had too much of a price on his head. He came from a well-to-do off family. He came from someone in the United States who had the money to pay a ransom, who had the money to send investigators out there. And they found him out there, and that was the end of Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo. He offered the wrong kid to his Nganga, and he got found out. But I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if he committed suicide or he died in a fucking shootout, but I think I also seen the Occult Crimes episode on him, too. I think he did kill himself, or he died in, a gunfight with the police or something. I don't remember how he died there. But a really good movie, really good shit. Go get the DVD. Borderland, 2006, and it's got the 8 films to die for tag right on the box art. So you'll know. You'll know who it is. I forgot who directed it. I mean, I could tell you if I know, but I don't got the DVD case anywhere near me right now. But Borderland, go check that out. Man, this is a fucking windy one. I'm gonna have to end it. Next fucking episode, I'm gonna talk about the Ecclesia Diaboli and Frater Caprifos' diabolic Gnosticism and Wolf's Hooked Cross. They are a chaos Gnostic order that does not use any Kabbalah or Hebrew mysticism. They use solely swastika symbolism, runes, runic vibrations, and basically a eclectic or an adaptation of the ONA style methodology there. I'll have to reread Diabolic Gnosticism, but he mentioned something about the Temple of Them, which was an ONA order. So Caprifos was in Temple of Them, and then the Temple of Them became the Ecclesia Diaboli. I don't remember, but it's one of those. We'll figure it out. That will be next podcast.